something in case something on the back end. Yeah, I'll give him a call here in a second. We entered a ticket a couple of days ago when they tried a Zoom thing in here and they tried to share PowerPoint. The whole thing, Zoom just froze. So apparently it's doing the same thing. It appears that way. I wasn't here when that happened, so I don't know the exact symptoms. I think Bermudez is aware of the situation. Adrian? Anything you can do to help?
Why don't you sit right here?
Are you're still able to switch?
Okay. Oops. Is it okay if I move this?
Absolutely.
Oops.
So I can put it in the tray.
I don't think I'll be moving.
Okay.
Alright. Alright. So you think we're ready? Okay, good morning. Good morning and welcome. Welcome to all of you who are joining us here in person, as well as those of you who are joining us online. Okay. Okay.
And that's the issue we're having.
Okay. All right, we are back. So again, welcome everyone. And we are just so excited that you are here today. We have an opportunity to share with the campus community what is going on with our strategic plan. There's been a lot of work happening over the past year, and we really want to be able to share with you what's happening and then also to give you an idea of where we're going with the strategic plan. So, again, greatly appreciate you being here and look forward to sharing a lot of great information with you. Okay, if we can. We're having slight technical difficulties, so we'll see if we can get to the next slide. All right. So just as a reminder, our strategic plan goals are set up with this framework. So we have our overarching goals, then the defined strategies that are associated with each of the goals articulate what we do in our work towards accomplishing these goals. So there's a clear connection with the strategies and the goals. And then each goal also has a series of objectives identified. And that's basically how we are measuring our progress towards the goal. And so we recently announced the launch of a Power BI dashboard site for the strategic plan, and all of you have access to that site. So you can log in, take a look at where we are with the various strategic plan goals. And it is accessible to all faculty and staff. Now, each goal has been assigned a goal leader. And so the goal leader also has strategy leaders that are working with them to be able to achieve or kind of look at monitoring those goals and how we're progressing. And then for the academic goals, we also have a consulting dean assigned to each of those goals. So there are multiple layers of individuals who are engaged in this process. It's also important to note that, there's so much work connected to achieving these goals. So we also have articulated which committees are aligned with the strategic goals. So you'll be able to see that who's engaged in the work, who's providing information, so that way we can see how we're achieving those goals. So this is the structure that we have. And then for the next few slides that we go over, you'll see this structure again on how it's interrelated in our work towards a strategic plan. So let's get started. All right. So it should be no surprise to anyone that enhancing student success is our first goal. This is really the heart of our mission. When you're looking at everything that we do, it all aligns with enhancing student success. So to date, we've made tremendous strides in updates to our undergraduate advising model with a record number of students enrolled full-time. We've also embarked on several stopgap initiatives to address student completion of the degree. And on that topic, I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Lisa Joyner, who is my partner, goal leader on goals A and B. So Lisa, I'll turn it over to you.
So thank you all for being here. This is an exciting time for us here at the University of Houston of Downtown when we're looking at student success and how are we really helping our students through and to. You'll see here in the top right-hand corner, it has two faces covering it a little bit right now, but it is our NIS symbol, which really stands for our National Institute for Student Success. And so if you're not aware, we are a NIS institution, and we are really focused on helping our students through and to with their academics, but also their student life across the institution. We are going to be embarking on a 2-year journey with this. And if you come to a session in January that we'll be sending an invite for, you'll be able to learn more in depth about our NIS institution and work and how you can be a part of that work. For the Office of Student Life and Student Success, a couple of things that we'll be working on this year and as we move forward is really engaging our students and families in co-curricular and non-curricular activities with working with our academic partners, working with many of you in the room here, and really looking at that infrastructure. We know that our students are looking for that tutoring, that academic support, and so we're thinking about how do we expand hours for tutoring, not just on Mondays through Fridays, but also during the weekends. How do we engage our students to be more in that peer-to-peer space as well? And then working back with their academic colleges. The numbers for our tutoring centers have continued to rise, whether it's our supplemental instruction, whether it's the writing, the math, but also students are bringing forward other things that they're needing support with within the academic environment. And so we are really bringing together the team to think about what do students need? Having student voices at the table, but also thinking about some of those courses that are becoming bottleneck courses for them and the supports that they might need to be successful. The other one that we have here is really to inspire our students to make those meaningful connections. But when we think about that, I want you all to start thinking about not just student leadership and involvement, which you might know as student activities, but also the roles in which you all play to help students make those meaningful connections. We are looking to expand our student leadership and involvement team, whether that's with clubs or organizations, whether that's with things outside of our campus community, but also too, one of the items that we're taking a look at is our NESE data, because students at other institutions here in the United States and across the board, they are doing great work. And how do we highlight that work? How do we really build a sense of belonging for our students here at the University of Houston Downtown? One of my offices right now, they're working on creating a full campus mentorship program. So you'll probably be getting some outreach here soon. Our mentorship program has primarily fell within our Gator Success Institute, but other students are saying, I want a mentor. I want to know how to transition into the university, and I want that support as I'm coming in, because for us, this might be a small campus, depending on where you might have graduated from, but for them, this is a very large institution. SA5 is cultivate an environment of well-being and really creating a culture of care for our community here at UHD. When we started thinking about this, we looked into the JED Foundation. So you'll see here the JED partnership. The JED Foundation is primarily focused on suicide prevention, but over the years, they have really thought about creating a culture of care and well-being for campus communities. So this coming February, we will be launching as a JED campus. And I'm not going to go into great detail because we do have a meeting coming up in January where we're going to go over the 21 initiatives for our campus community, but also some of the other things that we're working on in regards to student success. Note that this JED partnership currently has a committee, and we'll be launching a website in January that you all will have access to see who those committee members are. There are faculty on there, there are staff on there. Some of our auxiliary services staff members are on there as well. So full representation of our campus community. We will launch this on February the 2nd, but this coming January, that is when you will have greater detail about each of these things that we're looking to engage in. And so note, there's a lot of things coming for student success. You all play a key part in all of these things. If there's ever something that you want to engage in, please don't hesitate to reach out. And that's why we're going to be launching that platform, so you know who your partners are and how you can be a part of all the great things that are happening here at the University of Houston downtown. So I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Bordelon.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joyner. If I may just go back just for a second, when we've been talking about initiatives and things that we're working on, if you look at SA2, where we're looking at enhance and increase institutional financial support and literacy for all students to help them complete their degrees in a timely manner. It's even broader than that. And if you look under the deliverables, the super seniors, those are individuals who have more than 120 credit hours, but they don't have a degree yet. So really doing a deep dive into those, taking a look at those students and seeing how can we help them cross that finish line, get that degree. On the cusp, that's another initiative that you may hear about. And those are students that are about, they may be close to 100% finished, 90% finished, 80% finished. They're on the cusp of finishing their degree. How do we assist them in getting the courses that they need, taking a look at that pathway, so that way it's clear and they can finish up. And we're going to show some data in a few minutes on these initiatives. The through and to that Dr. Joyner was talking about, that is when our students are transferring to us with that associate degree. How do we help them finish up in 2 years? That clear pathway to, okay, you've got your gen eds, you've got that core taken care of. Let's get you into your major courses and again, finishing up in 2 years. So that way you're walking away with a degree. And then the EduNav Summit software, this is something that we'll be rolling out, and it's a way that students will be able to work with their academic success coordinators, their advisors, to take a look at, okay, these are all the courses that I've taken. Well, how close am I to finishing up the degree that I'm in? But there may be some other degrees out there that coursework applies to that they may not have even thought of, that they may be closer to finishing. Again, it doesn't mean that they necessarily will transfer to that degree, but it opens up opportunities for students to see what are the possibilities with the pathway that you're on. So if we could take a look at the next slide, it's just some data that, kind of shows, we're on a trajectory with our first time in college students, the cohort graduation rates. If you look, we are on that upward trajectory. So we are, helping students complete their degree in, we look at basically when we're reporting data, 4-year, 5-year, and 6 years. So this is where we are heading up. And I know the pictures are kind of, and that's okay, but our goal is to hit 50%. And that's what we're working on. And we're making that trajectory and again, helping students cross that finish line, reach their academic goals. So you can continue to see where the students are, the cohorts at the bottom, where they are and how they are completing their degree. Texas Public Universities, if you look at all of them, they're at 64%. That's our aspiration. That's where we want to hit. But if our goal right now is that 50%. Okay, the effects of tutoring. Again, looking at if students are accessing tutoring, they are more likely to complete their degrees in a positive fashion. So in looking at the tutoring, if they're going to 3 or more sessions, and those of you who are engaged in this work, please feel free to jump in. But if students are participating in multiple sessions of tutoring, they're more likely to earn an A, B, or C in their classes. So when we talk about DFW rates, meaning students who are earning non-productive grades because it's preventing them from moving on, we know if we can get them to the Gator Success Institute, if we can get them to tutoring, they are more likely to be successful in their courses. We also are looking at how do we expand tutoring? Because not only do we need it for those lower division courses in English and mathematics and in the sciences, we know that students are looking for tutoring in those upper level courses too. And it's a great opportunity for us to hire students to tutor. If they've been successful in those classes, let's get them on board. So we'll be reaching out to many of you who know the students in your classes. Who are those students who might be looking for student employment and tutoring opportunities? Okay, moving on to goal B. I could most probably talk forever on goal A, but goal B is looking at strategic partnerships. And so right now we're looking at ways that we can partner with our community partners for internships, for experiential learning, for opportunities for students to take what they're learning in your classes and apply it to the real world. So what we're looking at here is the Simplicity System, which is a tool. It's a tool to help us organize internships, to be able to record those experiences that students have had. So right now, it's already being used in the College of Business, and it's been used quite effectively for a number of years. What we're doing right now is expanding that use across the university. So Dr. Galati, who is the strategy leader for this particular goal, as well as Charlie Finch, and they are working on taking the partnerships, the internships, getting them in the system and taking a look at how do we record that? How do we let students know how many internships they've been participating in? How do we build the partnerships and encourage our community partners to put those internships into Simplicity so students can see, if I'm in this particular major, I'm eligible for that internship. And it broadens the scope because sometimes students are in a major and they're like, well, I don't see any internships related to that particular major. However, the skill set that they are gaining in that major applies to a whole host of experiential opportunities. So right now, Dr. Galati is working with several faculty members to test the Simplicity System this academic year. So we're using it again across the campus. And Dr. Joyner, I don't know if you want to provide any updates on the co-curricular community engagement piece.
So one thing that we are noticing is that our students are going outside of the campus community to look for opportunities to engage.
One thing we have learned with the strategic plan, flexibility.
Go with it. It's hers, right? Right? Oh.
Yeah.
See, that experience was a collective experience that could go on your co-curricular transcript too. One of the things we are looking into, and I had some discussions as I came into the institution, is how are we really creating this co-curricular piece for our students? We know that they are doing well in the classroom. We're going to assist them. We're going to support them. But when they're out doing co-curricular activities, whether it's service learning, whether it's volunteering within an organization, is there a way for us to capture that data and get a badge, like Dr. Bordelon had mentioned, to show that when students are applying for jobs, that they are not just a student who has graduated with a 3.5, but they are a student who has volunteered, they've given back to their institution and given back to the community. And so in collaboration with many others, we'll be looking at how do we start to capture that data. There's so much going on with our students, and they're doing great work in the community. Some of our students have been involved with the Houston Symphony. Some of our students have been involved with some of our athletics teams across the state of Texas and also here in Houston. And we want to capture the great work in which they're doing so they can show that they are a well-rounded student and they are ready to lead after they leave here at UHD.
like to share with you some data that has been collected on the power of high impact practices. And that includes a whole host of experiences that our students are engaged in. It could be experiential learning, service learning, community engagement, undergraduate research, study abroad opportunities, learning communities. It covers high impact practices, really do cover a wide range of experiences that students are engaged in. And this is just some data that Dr. Galati has been collecting and taking a look at it, but we know that if students are engaged in 4 or more high impact practices across their entire program of study, this is not in 1 year, it's across 4 years of engagement, they are almost 100% likely to graduate within 6 years. That's pretty powerful. So if we can start for our FTICs, if we can start with them in their freshman year, engaged in activities, making connections, helping them see opportunities that are available, and keep building upon that, they're more likely to complete their degree in 6 years or less. Our transfer students, when they come to us, if we can engage them right away, they're more likely to finish in 4 years. In many cases, they're finished in 2, but we want to keep them engaged and help them see that connection between the content and what they're learning in the classroom and what's going on. How can we engage them in the campus community through a whole host of activities? And this is just a slide to show the number of service learning courses. And right now we had 1,026 courses identified, or excuse me, these are students, 1,000, so I'd say, well, that's an awful lot of courses. 1,026 students engaged in service learning activities. We're projecting a little over 1,200 in the spring. Last year, in 2022-2023, we had about 1,700. So we are increasing, again, those high-impact practices and service learning activities that our students are engaged in. And it has an impact on their progression to degree. As you can see, I'm very much involved in the strategic planning process. With the dynamic learning environment, we really are looking at how, as an institution, do we cultivate a dynamic learning environment where we nurture students to their fullest potential, that they may better impact their world. And so in looking at our programming, looking at the ways that we are engaging students. And so right now, we have a strong portfolio of programs already, but we have so much opportunity to grow. And we have, right now we're working on an academic master plan, and we're looking at ways that we can use that planning process to grow our programs at the undergraduate level, at the graduate level, also with certificates. So right now we have several programs that are under consideration. We have the bachelor's degree in Black Studies, Latino Studies, translation, which is focusing on primarily the legal and medical fields. So students who are prepared to enter into those professions where they are translating primarily from English to Spanish and Spanish to English for people who are engaged in the legal areas as well as for medical fields. Cybersecurity, we're looking at a bachelor's degree there. Sales and entrepreneurship. And then the academic master plan really helps out in a number of ways. It can offer a framework for identifying and promoting new program development in concert with resource allocations. And again, we need your feedback. What are some gaps that you're seeing? What are some programs that we need to be offering? It also, the academic master plan will provide a framework for a regular review of our current programs. Are they relevant? Do they need to be revised? Are there opportunities for growth in those program areas? And it also provides us with ways that we can better communicate our programs to students. Sometimes, we're in the field of academia, at the university, we speak academic speak. Students have no idea what we're talking about sometimes. When we're talking about high impact practices, again, we use that term, they don't always know what that means. So how do we provide information in a way that is accessible to our students and they can make those connections and learn those terms, but we have to start with engaging them and bringing them in to those conversations. So it really helps us to identify specific benefits and pathways for our students. And just to kind of give you an overview of what this looks like, we have our vision where we're looking at proposed short-term, midterm, long-term programs. The official approval process, someone has to guide that and lead it, and that's our AVP for programming and curriculum. And then again, our approved programs. We recently were approved for the MED in leadership, educational leadership in the urban education. We have about 15 students, I believe, right now that are in the cohort, and we're looking at growing that. And then our MSW, the Masters of Social Work, was recently approved by our Board of Regents in the UH system and is going through the process. And so we're hoping to be able to launch that program by 2025. Okay, I'm going to turn this over now to Erica Morales.
Good morning, everyone. So I'll be going over our strategies for an engaged faculty and staff. Well, I'll go over the staff part, and then Dr. Bordelon, I think, will go over the faculty part. But the strategies are pretty much the same for both. So our first strategy was to establish funding mandates in the budget and planning process that produce competitive salaries. So basically, a group of faculty and staff got together and came up with priorities. So basically working with PBDC, the Budget and Planning Committee, to ensure that salary increases are a priority during this process on a yearly basis, to ensure more consistent salary increases every year for both faculty and staff. Of course, that'll depend on funding. That's always a caveat there, but it is going to be, moving forward, a priority during this planning process. So some deliverables. So in the past 3 years, we have had consecutive salary increases for both faculty and staff. So what has that done for staff? So 80% of employees, our staff employees, have salaries at 90% of market or better. So that means that they're moving along their structures, they're closer to the midpoint. And that is up from 60%. 3 years ago, only 60% of our staff were at 90% of market. So our goal is to have ideally 90% of our staff be at 90% of market or better. So that's where we are right now. Some next steps for that process is to continue to monitor our salaries, conduct salary structures reviews. So that's the next step for staff salary increases. That'll help to produce more competitive salaries for staff. Another strategy that we have been working on is to develop and implement a plan to reduce employee turnover, increase retention, and foster employee engagement. So there are several things that we have done to try to assist with reducing employee turnover. That includes updating our policies on workplace work arrangements, alternative work arrangements. Our numbers have increased in the past year. More than 50% of our staff employees are participating in an alternative work arrangement. So that's steps in the right direction. And it's up by 20% from previous year. So we've had other programs that we've initiated, again, to increase engagement, such as improving our policies on compensations, on career ladders for staff, having more educational programs, and things of that nature to, again, increase that engagement and reduce employee turnover. And it's working slowly but surely. Our turnover has been on the decline from 20% to currently it's around 11%. So it's going in the right direction. So we're going to continue to monitor this and come up with initiatives to ensure that turnover continues to go down and we have an engaged staff. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Erica. And then in looking at the faculty side, again, very similar in looking at salaries and being able to do some compensation studies to make sure that we're aligned. But there are also some other things that we have been working on. We were able to implement course releases for university standing policy committee chairs. And this was an initiative that was approved by the Faculty Senate a while back. And it was actually under former Provost Eric Link. And finally, we've been able to get this implemented. And that is the chairs of the Faculty Advisory Committee, the University Curriculum Committee, and the Academic Policy Committees. So those chairs will be granted a course release for the spring of 2024. We also have a committee that's currently working on the faculty workload. And so this, as part of the strategic plan, this committee is looking at our policy and updating the policy that we currently have. And the proposed plan should be ready for comment in January, and we'll be able to move forward with that. We've also been working on an associate professor's workshop. We have individuals who have received tenure and achieved the associate professor level. And then how do we provide that support and network for them to look at moving into the full professor rank? So we'll be implementing the associate professors workshops. We also have a Fulbright group that's meeting to encourage faculty to apply for Fulbright opportunities, as well as encouraging our students to apply for Fulbrights. We have an annual evaluation work group that's looking at annual evaluation criteria across the campus, across departments, and making recommendations to address faculty concerns about the annual evaluation process. So we're looking at all of these various areas in addition to constantly keeping an eye on the salary piece and making sure that we're looking at opportunities to make sure that faculty are aligned with the market for their particular discipline and their rank. Okay, I'm going to turn this over now to Hossein.
Thank you. VP Thomas is sort of unavailable, so asked me to cover this. The strategy, as you can tell, focuses on increasing non-enrollment revenue. Obviously, enrollment revenues are our primary goal, primary means of bringing in dollars, but the recognition is that there's a lot of opportunity to bring in non-enrollment interviews. So there's this was put together as a part of a sustainable operation to see what we can do. The other piece were to look at some master plans, obviously as an important part of our sustainable operations. And then, by the way, the non-enrollment revenue also was broken down to two pieces. One, just general stuff that we can work on, but also working on stuff that the advancement office will work on. So I'll cover the other pieces, non-advancement stuff, and then Jay will pick up the other piece as a part of his team efforts. On the generating the revenue, so there was a conversations, a good deal of going back and forth. There was sort of conversation about what are the key areas to focus on, and there was an action plan that VP Thomas developed and was approved by the president. And basically, the plan focuses on three major areas. One is the one everybody knows about, which is the auxiliary services, food services, libraries, all those kind of things that we are used to. Focus there is really more about what can we do to do better, generate more money or be more efficient and those kind of things. And we obviously are engaged in a lot of those activities, but what can we do to do better? We did add a component to it, which is basically recognizing that we have a fairly desirable location for parking during major events on the weekend. So can we, and we don't use them as much, obviously. So can we do anything with the downtown community, with the events in downtown, to see if we can leverage those parking spaces for generating some revenue? So that's part of that group. It's kind of an odd one for an auxiliary group, but again, they're looking at that as part of their process. The other part is one most of university are familiar with. We've kind of had have operations ongoing for a long time. But I think that the recognition is always opportunity for more, and we probably have done it not as much as consciously and purposefully as we should, and that's continuing education. We've had continuing education, as you may or may not know, for a long time. We've had several variations of it. A long time ago, there was even a language, having the English as a second language kind of institute. We now have primarily two areas, which is one is the police academy that you see, and the other part is what we used to be called applied technology, which basically was a catch-all phrase for everything else that operates out of 7 North kind of thing. So the idea is to try to figure out how to really bring all of those in a cohesive process and see what we can do. And then the other part is to really work more with the colleges as well to see what are the opportunities there, because it's been pretty much sort of independent run as opposed to sort of integrating some college-based kind of a opportunity in that. There's obviously a lot of skill sets, a lot of information, a lot of valuable things that possibly can be leveraged also as a continuing education opportunity. And then the last area we're looking at that we've had the operations, but not as a revenue generation operation, is events. So, we do event managements. We have an office that does event managements and primarily really focuses on event for campus for academic events. Although we've done a lot more of non-academic events. But that has not been our sort of focus or the directive for the group to sort of look at that as a revenue generating thing. It's more, I think, a public relation when we have engaged non-academic sort of environment to bring people on campus and have them see us and stuff. But this is sort of a next step where, okay, that's still good. We still want to use the space to sort of engage people, bring people on campus, get the people to know us, but there's also maybe opportunity to see if we can generate revenue out of that. Of course, there's a shift in culture, changes the perspective, but also requires a different infrastructure. Now, if you're in business of selling events, then you become obligated to sort of support those events and provide the services that you're selling. So it's a lot easier to say this is all we can do when it's not for money, but it's just for favor. But once you actually charge people for venue and operations and stuff, then you have an obligation. So that's a part that we're going to try to build. And so all of that, so the process we're using now, we've created 3 different groups with 3 focus area to look at and develop business processes for each one of these, including what it takes to do this right. So again, what we have may not be what we want to do. So they're going to build those business processes. They're due to do early to mid-spring to present the business processes that will go through the leadership approval, get them approved, and then we go from there. Master plans, just real quick, it was presented to the board. There was a lot of work done with the community and architectures and such. The plan was presented to the board. This November board meeting was approved. So the next step will be to start implementations, get the pieces in place to get it implemented, and hopefully you'll see something coming out early in the spring, what it looks like and where we're going from there. So I'll hand this off to Jay to kind of talk about, to VP Zambrano to talk about the development.
Amen. If you don't mind. Thank you, Hussein. So in this, physical technical difficulties too. So under this strategy, SE5, I'm helping VP Thomas create a committee that is helping the university understand philanthropy more. So what we're doing is we're creating a committee to help administrative, academic, and unit leaders understand the benefits of building a culture of philanthropy here at UHD. So in my business, I've been in this for 25 years, and I think, like Dr. Borderland stated earlier, we speak advancement talk within our department and with other folks a lot, but does the outside completely understand of the whole process of how, what we're actually doing to meet with donors, the visibility of the university and making sure how important that is and how all that ties into everything that we do, whether it's a brochure, whether it's a proposal, whether it's something that we have on the website, whether it is an event, to have some kind of hook or an engagement that is going to entice people to invest into this wonderful university. So I've already identified the committee members. We're about to start meeting. There's been a lot of things that have happened that we're about a month off, but we're going to start getting together some of the ideas, because what I wanted to do is have outside perspectives from each of the colleges and units to have some type of feedback and a voice into how we continue to create that. So we're moving right along, and we hope that we'll be providing some more feedback, or at least our results early in the next year, especially if we moved into this 50th anniversary. So we're excited about that. And I thank all the folks that have already stepped up to help along with that effort. So move on. So the next goal, visibility and recognition. So just to put it straight out, we're about enhancing the reputation and visibility of UHD. Last year, we looked at the impact of our marketing plan. Our marketing plan is a very, very large marketing plan, covers a lot of areas from print collateral to billboards to commercials to what you see on the internet, social media platforms. So we pulled out a couple of pieces last year, and we looked at billboards, and also, it's not listed there, but we also looked at commercials and how we got a few focus groups internally made of students and staff and some external folks to look at, what they thought of our commercials, what they thought about us, and also on our billboards. So if you looked at this, it's changing. So if you look at some of the billboards that we have, when you travel on I-10 or 59 or 45, whatever your direction home is, our billboards are starting to pop, and that has been some of the feedback that we received back from those focus groups. The same thing with our commercials. Our commercials are getting tighter, more exciting, and not just commercials, but videos, whether they're long informational videos that enrollment management will be using, or these tight videos that we'll see, commercials that we'll see, just like you see on YouTube, when, between, don't skip, watch all our commercials. So we're excited about that. This year, a big emphasis on the website, revising the website for a more user-friendly and uniquely that is UHD, so that people completely understand that it's us, and making sure that it's an effective experience for the end user. Of course, our students, our donors, are the people that are looking at us, legislators, and so on. So this year, 3 major things happened. We migrated, so y'all heard a lot about that. We migrated from a local presence where we store our website out into the cloud. So we're safe. If there is a flood, if there is some catastrophic event here in Houston, which happens every so often, hopefully I didn't just call it, but, we're protected, and we're in the cloud. The other thing is, of course, the new Senate Bill 17. We had to make a lot of adjustments to our website. Tremendous effort from our web techs within all the colleges and units, and Hussein, and even on my side in University Advancement Relations, Jose led a team, and they did a wonderful job, and they've adjusted what we had to adjust so we can make sure that we're following our new rules there. So those things, and then of course the departure of Laura Waits. Laura Waits was one of our leads, or the lead, regarding everything around the web. And so we've had people step up, like I mentioned, Hussein and also Jose in our office. And so we're making adjustments. The position that Laura had previously, we're making adjustments, and that is going to be a position that is going to be totally dedicated to web marketing, digital marketing, the architecture of how our website looks, how effective it is, how it's working with all the colleges and units. And also we're going to be moving towards getting a new website. So those are some of the things. And you all know that getting a website is a long process. So we have to make sure that what we have is effective and that we're keeping up to date. So it's not just the sole responsibility of our web techs or our university relations folks. It is all our responsibility. And so make sure that you all are our eyes and ears as well, to make sure that our web pages are up to date and effective. And if there's an issue, please let us know. So those are some of the things that we are really focusing on this year. We're excited about it. We want to make sure that people understand that UHD is gaining accolades and awards and rankings and all the great things that we're doing out in the community, from the big balloon that you all saw during Thanksgiving to the 50th, that all the events that we're going to have this next year. So we're excited about it. So I'm going to turn it right back over to Dr. Bordelon. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Jay. Goal G deals with impactful knowledge creation. So looking at promoting knowledge creation and dissemination to and from faculty, staff, students in the wider community. And in looking at this process, there are a couple of things that we've been engaged in this past year. We moved from a paper process to an online proposal system for ORCA, which is the Organized Research and Creative Activities internal grants, and then also faculty development assistance that faculty can apply for grants that usually supports travel and dissemination of scholarship. So this was launched this fall. It worked out very well. So moving to this online system, provided a more organized approach and a better way of tracking the proposals and being able to move them through the system. We're also moving forward with Faculty Success, which is an online database of faculty information for faculty online profiles to really strengthen that information and to provide a way for faculty to keep their profiles up to date in a very easy fashion. So we're moving forward with that. We also had our Fall Faculty Research Symposium, which was a great success. I will say I learned so much going to the various tables and interacting with the faculty to talk about the research. And we also did it in conjunction with our students, celebrating their research and opportunities, their engagement in high impact practices, study abroad, internships, and so forth. So it was a great way of really highlighting all the good work that's being done in this area of knowledge creation. We also have identified our faculty fellows for the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs. We're continuing to grow in that area, and we will have 2 faculty joining the team who will be able to provide support to faculty and staff as they're writing proposals, being able to provide feedback, to interact. So we really are looking at a whole host of ideas. And if you have ideas on ways that we can strengthen that support, please share those with us. Yeah. And this is just a slide to show you kind of where we are with our grant writing and grant awards. And again, we're on that upward trajectory. Right now, for our grant awards, we're at $8,352,315. For our active research grants, we're at $2,242,966. So again, we're on that trajectory. We want to continue to grow our research awards. We report those out to the system. That's part of our progress report. But our grant writing, and that's the work that all of you are doing, it really is having an impact on the types of programs that we're able to offer on campus, the kinds of support that we're able to provide for faculty, and we're continuing to grow. So we want to, take a look at, again, how can we support that work? And it's a work in progress. It's something that will continue to grow and will continue to move forward in this space. Okay. Dr. Villegas, do you want me to take this or do you want? Okay.
All right, so we have Goal H, enhancing enrollment experience, and we're going to do this through increasing headcount and semester credit hours. Now, in parallel to this goal under the strategic plan, we're also working internally to develop a strategic enrollment management plan. So this is just a portion, a snapshot of what we're doing, the work that we're doing there. So the first strategy is to increase new student registration to maximize tuition revenue. We have an increase of 7% in terms of headcount for a new freshman class. So we're taking the base year of fall 2022, we had 1,363 freshmen enrolled, and this year we had 1,458, so a 7% increase. We do plan to continue to increase applications and new student enrollment for 2024. So the expectation is that we always have an increase, never a drop. And so we expect to do that in the 2024 class as well. Now, this is just capturing the new student enrollment, but we also had an increase in applications overall, in total applications submitted and admitted students. Strategy 2 is to develop and implement an admission matrix model to identify academic and financial support opportunities for undergrad students. We have developed the model. We have implemented to our fall 2023 class. So what this model does, it will predict the academic risk of a freshman student. We have coded these students in PeopleSoft, and the 3SL is working with these codes to develop programming around these students to support them in their first semester at UHD. We will continue to validate the predictive model, making sure that when we look at the performance of the fall, Zoom. And we're back. All right. So back to strategy 2. So we will continue to validate the model to ensure that what we predicted was actually what happened with the students. So if we predicted that they were at a high academic risk level, we'll look at their academic performance after 1 year and determine if we can still continue to use that model and make adjustments if needed. Now, we also are using that model to be very intentional in our recruitment strategies based on what the model is telling us. If we see that these students are at high academic risk level, we'll make sure that we are providing all the information. We'll try it again. So we will make sure that when we're visiting with students, depending on their predictive risk level for academics or financial, that we're providing that information that they need to prepare for their transition from high school to university. The third strategy is to integrate new and custom technology solutions to engage and enroll students in this digital era. We have just launched our Big Futures Connections app, and that's an opportunity for us to engage students that have taken the SAT. So the SAT scores were just released a couple weeks ago, and we are now in that environment to engage with prospective students.
Stop the video. Okay, go ahead.
So we'll go ahead and use that Big Future Connections to engage prospective students, and then link them to the university so they become our inquiries and we can start communicating with them. We also have our next steps is to implement a Zimi social media application to engage prospective students and provide information, and that app will allow us to engage one-on-one with the student. We're also in the process of launching a new scholarship portal. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be able to launch it. Phase 1 would be complete. We would move into the phase 2. So the scholarship portal is just going to collect all the scholarships that we have across the university and put them in one portal. There will be one general application that will match the student to the scholarships. And so they'll have the option of deciding if they want to go ahead and accept it after the committee review and all that. Our last strategy is to expand our partnership opportunities with external entities to enhance engagement, communication, and student transition. So we are in the process of developing 3 MOUs. Happy to announce next week we'll sign our first one with our K-12 through 12 partners, Harmony Public School. So next Tuesday, we'll have a signing day with them. And yes, Prep and Aldine, we are in the developmental stages of that MOU. What this MOU is going to allow for us is the big piece is the exchange of data. So we will receive data from those schools on prospective students, and the data will flow both ways. So they will be receiving data from us on how the students perform academically here once they're here, graduation rates, and all that good stuff. They'll also be providing support to those students, to their alumni, for the first year, so transitioning into the university. And so we're really excited about those partnerships. The next slide is just going to show some data for that new freshman class, just to see where we are with the numbers in comparison to fall 2021, 2022. So we did see a decline in our fall 2022 class for transfer. But then we're back up, right, in fall 2023. And we're also up in our freshman class. So doing good, increase in applications as well. And this is a result of that.
Okay, I just want to, thank all of the strategy leaders and the committees that have been working on the strategic plan for this past year. This is a 5-year plan, so it's something that is going to continue. We're going to continue to work on, refine, collect data. Please access the dashboards. I want to, shout out to Mick for all of your help with the dashboards, and also, making sure that you're seeing what's going on. This is a project, as you can see, that is it's a collective. It is something that has to be done across the university. It cannot be done by one person, one office. It's all of us taking a look at these goals, taking a look at the strategies, those objectives, and working collectively to achieve those goals. And ultimately, the focus is on our students and student success, the success of our campus community, and again, our impact on not only what we do here at the University of Houston downtown, but the communities that we serve. So again, great work going on. I think we have maybe a minute or two. Do you want, if anyone has any questions, but again, we appreciate you being here. Yes. Yes. Uh-huh. It's aligned with, and I'm going to turn over to our, Emily, did you want to take that one or? Okay. Okay. It's not available to students. It's going to be for the academic success coordinators to sit down with students to go through and take a look at those options. So they wouldn't be able to access it directly, but as they're having their meetings with their academic success coordinators and having that advising session, taking a look at where they are and what are some of those options that are available to them. Great question. Thank you. Anything in the chat? All right. Well, enjoy your Friday. Thank you so much for spending this time with us and your patience as we've gone through this process. But again, a lot of great work happening, and thank you all for the work that you're doing to support the University of Houston downtown. Have a great day.
I think that's one that we have to find. But I don't believe that. Staff in particular, because I remember the conversation. Staff. The staff was adamant. Staff. Innovative with their work.